everyone, I'm the Rev, and in this video I'm going to take a quick look at the SimLab P1X Pro cockpit. It's this behind me and it's a thing of beauty. In this video I'm going to go over the first impressions, we're going to go over what the build quality's like, what it's like to put together, as well as what it's like to actually sit in and race, and we'll cover the seat as well because the seat's something else. As I said in the other video, I'm not a reviewer, I'm just a user just like you. I want to sit in it, I want to use it, I don't want to chop and change my kit all the time, I don't want to try 350 different variations of kit, I just want something that I can use day in, day out and get enjoyment from. So a little disclaimer to start with. So SimLab have sent me these items, however I'm under no obligation whatsoever to make a video, I'm under no obligation to say anything specific. I can't stress enough that I'm not a reviewer, I'm just a user, and I won't go looking for fault. If a fault presents itself, then fine, I'll mention the fault, but I won't specifically go looking for it. I just thought that you guys might like more of an average user perspective as opposed to somebody that does professional reviews, because that's not me. So let's start with what I had before. Now, in July 2024, I purchased with my own money the GTO Mega Prime. I got the keyboard tray and I got the front mount. And I think that ended up costing me around about £900, which is not an insignificant amount of money. So I'd used the GTO Mega Prime for around about 2 years, and complaints wise, I had very few. It's very, very heavy, so it was difficult to maneuver and adjust. And the seat wasn't the most comfortable. I bought the cheapest seat that they had, I think it was the RS9, and the stitching, a little bit of the stitching was coming away and it made some noises, you could hear it creaking and stuff like that. They were the only complaints that I had about the GTO Mega Prime. So what did SimLab send me as a replacement? Well, they sent me the P1X Pro cockpit, the S1 Enduro seat, the seat sliders, the keyboard tray, and the XB1 handbrake kit. So if you went and bought this from their website, it'd cost you about £1,120, which again is not an insignificant amount of money. However, like the GTO Mega Prime, if you want a top-end, sturdy, future-proof cockpit, then you are going to be spending a few quid. And I think it's one of those items where you're going to buy once and cry once, rather than buying something, say, I don't know, £300-400 and then wanting to upgrade later down the line. So in terms of first impressions, what's the first impressions like? So when I received the items from SimLab, it came in numerous boxes, but all the boxes were marked up. It was really easy to see what was what and to get it in some kind of order of how I was going to put it together. When you open the boxes to look at the items themselves, everything looked and felt really well made. The profiles themselves have got a lovely matte sort of textured finish, really nice, does feel nice and premium. But the profiles themselves, they felt initially lighter than the GTO Mega Prime, so I was a little bit concerned about that, thinking is it going to be as sturdy, is there going to be some noise, some racket made from this sim rig? Well, we're going to find out whether there is or there isn't. In terms of building it, I am no DIY expert, not for a second, but I do have experience building sim rigs because I built the GTO Mega Prime myself, so putting this one together, I didn't find it any more difficult. If anything, I found it less difficult as I had the experience. That's nothing down to the actual SimLab cockpit itself, it's just that I had experience building cockpits, so I didn't find it too difficult. And considering that I did it during a heatwave, I only lost my temper a couple of times. One time was when I was trying to adjust the pedals and I kept banging my head on the keyboard tray, and I thought to myself, why didn't you adjust the pedals before you put the keyboard tray on, Matt, you muppet? But that's my fault, that's nothing to do with the cockpit. In terms of how long it took, it did take me 3 days to do, but that's because I wasn't rushing. I wasn't just sat there for 3 days trying to put this thing together. I was doing other things in between, and I just set myself out little bits of time to go, right, I'll do a little bit more, I'll do a little bit more, I'll do a little bit more. And that's how I did it, and it took me 3 days. And in total, hour-wise, I don't know, probably took me 6 hours to get it all together. And when I say put it together, I mean put it together. I don't mean adjusted to exactly how I wanted it. If anything, that was probably going to take me more time because I'm very particular about how I like things. So yeah, that was something that I probably spent another 2 hours adjusting it to exactly how I wanted it. So sitting in the cockpit for the first time, once it was together, how did it feel? Well, this is where I have to say it felt totally different. Obviously down to the seat, the seating position was completely different. I had to adjust where I wanted my pedals, where I wanted the wheel. Everything felt massively different, but I just felt like I had more control over the adjustability on this particular cockpit. With the uprights being on an angle. I just felt like I could get the steering wheel in a better position. I don't know what that was. I just felt like I could get it a bit higher up, a bit closer to my chest, and I just felt like it was much better. Maybe it was the seat, maybe it was the seating position, I'm not sure. But a huge mention has to go to the S1 Enduro seat. This seat is a night and day difference to the GT Omega one. Obviously, because the GT Omega wasn't a bucket seat, it was just a regular car seat, but sitting in the bucket seat, wow, for the first time, it felt brilliant. The quality of this seat, I cannot stress enough. The quality of the materials, how well it's made, how it feels, how it even smells. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's got so much support. It's even got support for the bottom of your thighs, and I'd never even considered that before, but just having that little bit more support on the bottom of my thighs really takes a bit more pressure off me back when I'm braking. I cannot rate the seat any higher than I do. It's absolutely fantastic. It really, really is. And it's fair to say that it's transformed how it feels to sit in the rig. So as I say, in terms of adjustability and seating position, this rig was absolutely perfect for me. I feel like I've got everything exactly where I want it. And I'm in a much more comfortable position now than I ever was in the GT Omega. In terms of strength, rigidity or flex, when you're racing, it feels sturdy as anything. There is no flex, there's no creaks, there's no funny sounds, there's vibration just like there was in the GT Omega when the force feedback comes in. That's no different, it feels exactly the same. And considering these profiles they're lighter than the GT Omegas, I was quite surprised because I thought there would be more, but there's not. It just feels exactly the same, easy to use, super comfortable. The only difference being that because this sim rig is a bit lighter, I can actually move it around a little bit easier to adjust it. So if anything, that just made things a little bit easier. So in terms of the good, you've got the look, the adjustability, the seating position, the feel of it when you're racing. It's just the small things that makes it feel better than the GT Omega. The rounded end plates on the actual cockpit itself, they just look a bit more premium, it looks nicer. I love the angled uprights, again I think that just gives it a more premium look. And I love the SimLab screw caps. Again, it's just a tiny feature. I just think it adds to that premium look, premium feel of something that you've spent a lot of money on. So was there anything that wasn't so good? Yes, there was one thing, and that's the seat slider. Now the seat slider comes in two pieces. You have the actual handle itself and the sliders. Now the handle, you have to physically bend yourself to get it to sit right. And actually in the instruction manuals, it recommends that you make this particular bend. Now I'm sorry, if you're spending so much money on a cockpit, I don't think you should be getting a piece of metal that you have to bend yourself. Now using the instructions, I couldn't get the piece of metal to sit where I wanted it to, so I actually used an actual pipe bender to get it to sit right, and I don't think that's right. That's not right at all. I just think that when you've spent so much money on an item, there's no way you should be having to use a pipe bender to bend a piece of metal. So that did take some faffing around to get right, but genuinely, that's the only thing that I could say negative about this cockpit. Everything else is superb. The finish, the position, the sturdiness, the look, it's absolutely fantastic. I cannot rate it high enough. The seat is absolutely out of this world, and it's something that you don't realise until you sit in it. I think you wouldn't realise how good it is until you actually sat in it. So if I spent roughly £900 on the GT Omega in 2024, would I be happy spending £1,100 or more on the P1X Pro in 2026? Well, considering the way everything, absolutely everything has gone up in price, I would have expected a bit of a jump in price, and I would say that it's worth the extra. I'd pay the extra money for the seat alone, let alone the other good parts of the cockpit itself. Another mention has to go to where the handbrake and the shifter sit, because this is much sturdier than the GT Omega. On the GT Omega, if I pulled the handbrake, there was a little bit of flex in the mount. There is no flex here whatsoever. It's super, super sturdy. And again, with the adjustability, I've just been able to get it in a much, much better place. It's higher up, it's closer to me, and it just feels more natural. It's just more adjustable than the GT Omega Prime was. So there you go, that's my very quick look at the P1X Pro cockpit. It's fair to say that I'm super impressed. I think it's worth the money, and I can't thank SimLab enough for sending it out to give it a try. It's worth it, as I say, just for the seat. The seat has helped an old man's back feel a little bit better. So if you're in the market for a new cockpit, I can't recommend it enough. And if you're in the market for a seat, then this seat's the way to go. But SimLab, I think you need to have a look at your sliders. I don't think we should be having to bend our own handle in 2026 on a nearly £1,200 item. So this is the cockpit that I'll be using day in, day out. I think the cockpit behind me will outlast me. I think that'll be there until after I retire. If you are in the market for anything SimLab related, do use my code REV5, get yourself 5% off. Yes, I will receive a bit of a kickback from that, but you save 5% and anything we can save in 2026 is better than nothing. As always, I've been the Reverend. Thank you very much for watching.